How well do you truly know the people around you? Not in passing, not the polite nods in the hallway or the neighborly waves from across the street. I mean, truly. Do you know what they do when no one's watching? What thoughts swirl in their heads when they're alone? What darkness they might be capable of, hidden behind a practiced smile? It's comforting to believe we can sense danger, that we'd notice the subtle tells, the strange behaviors, the uneasy feeling in the pit of our stomach. But what if there was absolutely nothing? No signs, no warning, just a quiet, ordinary face that could stand beside you in line at the grocery store, and you'd never guess that you were inches away from a predator. Because sometimes, monsters don't hide in shadows or dark alleyways. They live in the house across the street. They hold open doors. They smile back when you pass them on the sidewalk. And they do their hunting in plain sight. Welcome to Crime Scope USA. If you're new here, please hit the like and subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell for more true crime documentaries like this.
September 2016, Ashland, Ohio. A place that looked safe. People walked their dogs after dark, kids rode bikes down the street, and crime, well, that was usually just something you saw in the evening news. But on the 13th, at 6:30 in the morning, a 911 operator received a call unlike any other. The voice on the other end was soft, weak, trembling. A woman, barely able to speak above a whisper, said she was being held against her will, said she was tied up, she had been sexually assaulted, and she was fairly certain her captor was going to kill her.
911, what is the address to your emergency?
5 Street Laundromat.
What is it?
4th Street Laundromat.
What's the problem?
I've been assaulted.
Who abducted you?
Shawn Grate.
You said John Green?
Shawn Grate.
Where's she at now?
Asleep.
Where's she sleeping at?
In the bedroom.
In what bedroom?
There's 2 houses right by the laundry street. And it's in one of those houses.
But you're at the laundromat?
No, I'm in the bedroom with them.
She said she had found a phone hidden beneath a stairwell, likely by another abducted victim, who probably didn't make it out of his house. Her words were frantic, but quiet, as if every sound could give her away at any minute. Police worked quickly to trace the call. The location led them to a house that seemed like any other in the neighborhood, but what waited inside was a scene that would haunt even the most hardened officers at the time. The man inside wasn't panicked. He didn't run. He didn't deny anything. In fact, he was almost calm, like a breeze, as if he knew the game was finally over. In the rooms beyond, police discovered the source of the smell that had been reported by neighbors days earlier: the decomposing remains of 2 women. The woman on the phone was rescued, shaken, traumatized, but alive. And the man responsible was about to tell the police a story spanning a decade of death.
But this story didn't begin in 2016. It began 10 years earlier, in 2006. Somewhere in Ohio, the body of 26-year-old Rebecca Lacey was discovered in an abandoned home. She had been strangled. Police investigated, but leads dried up. The case went cold. 2 years later, in 2008, another woman, Candace Cunningham, was found dead under eerily similar circumstances. She had been kept alive for a time, subjected to horrific abuse, and then discarded like she was nothing. No one connected the 2 cases. Why would they? They happened in different locations, years apart from each other. The killer had no pattern that police could see, at least not on the surface. He was patient, careful. He didn't strike often, but when he did, he made sure there were no witnesses and no clear evidence pointing cursors towards him. Years passed. He moved from place to place, blending in wherever he went. To outsiders, he was unremarkable, polite, quiet, even helpful at times. But he had a method. He sought out vulnerable women, women who wouldn't be missed immediately, women he could control. And once he had them, he would take them somewhere no one could hear them scream. Inside those walls, he was no longer the quiet man next door. He became something else entirely. His victims weren't killed right away. He liked to keep them alive, trapped, terrified, to watch their fear grow day by day. It was never just about ending a life. It was about owning it completely until he decided it was over. In 2016, 43-year-old Stacy Stanley's car broke down after leaving a gas station. She accepted help from a man who seemed kind enough. He offered to drive her somewhere safe, but instead he took her to his home. There, he bound her, raped her, and ultimately strangled her to death. When he was done, he hid her body under debris inside the house. To him, she was just gone. Another secret, another trophy no one would find until he allowed it. The 911 call that September changed everything. The woman who made it had been living through the same nightmare as Stacy Stanley. Tied up, assaulted, waiting for the moment he would decide she was no longer worth keeping alive. She knew she had only one chance to escape, and when police burst through the door, she took it. That was the day the mask finally came off. The man responsible for at least 5 known murders and suspected of many more was 40-year-old Shawn Grate, the same man who had lived quietly among his neighbors, the same man who could strike up a friendly conversation at the store, the same man who carried death with him everywhere he went, without ever being noticed. Grate confessed almost immediately, detailing crimes in a matter-of-fact tone, as though he were recounting mundane events from his week. Investigators believe there could be more victims, missing women whose names might never be linked to him. But the truth about how many lives he ended may be buried forever, locked inside the mind of the man who enjoyed holding on to his secrets. When police took Shawn Grate into custody, they didn't yet realize just how far his crimes went. That would come out in the months and years that followed, inside a courtroom that would hear some of the most chilling testimony in Ohio's recent history. The state built its case methodically. Prosecutors tied Grate to the murders of Stacy Stanley and Elizabeth Griffith through DNA evidence, forensic analysis, and his own detailed confessions. They presented photographs of the crime scenes, recordings of his interrogation, and the haunting 911 call made by his final would-be victim. Jurors sat in silence, some visibly shaken, as the evidence unfolded. Witnesses described the smell of decay from the abandoned house and the fear in the surviving woman's voice. But Grate didn't fight the charges in the way most defendants would. In fact, during initial hearings, he admitted to more murders than prosecutors had even charged him with. He told the court about bodies left in abandoned houses, about women who might never be identified. He spoke of them without visible emotion, like he was talking about objects, not human beings. The defense argued for his life, claiming mental illness, a traumatic childhood, and unstable relationships had shaped his actions. They tried to paint him as a broken man in need of treatment, not execution. But the jury saw something else, a calculated predator who knew exactly what he was doing. On June 1st, 2018, after a 4-week trial, the jury found Shawn Grate guilty on all counts, including multiple counts of aggravated murder, kidnapping, and rape. They deliberated just a few hours before recommending the death penalty. In September 2019, the Ohio Supreme Court upheld that sentence. Grate was sent to death row at Chillicothe Correctional Institution, where he remains today. Even after his conviction, his name would return to the headlines in the early 2020s. Appeals, new investigative reports, and speculation over potential unknown victims kept his story alive, a lingering reminder of the danger that can hide in plain sight. So the question remains, how well do you know the people around you? Could you spot the ones hiding a monstrous truth? Or would you, like so many of Shawn Grate's neighbors, smile politely, never realizing that death was living just next door? If you found this story chilling, like and subscribe for more and tell us in the comments, could you have seen through his mask?